Okay, guys, in this video, what I want to do is I want to cover what the triple script is and go over some really basic things with you before we get going into it. Because if you're not looking for these basic things, they're not going to make sense. So the triple script is usually what I like to call the 2K script, because usually when we're doing a 2K webinar, the secret is getting way outside into broad audiences. That's what a 2K price point is for. Okay, so you have to understand that when we're doing the triple script, we're going through the triple diamond. The double diamond is usually what we're going to use on a sales call script B2B, or in a very simple, what's the word for it? A very simple audience that's huge. For example, people that want to play golf. For example, we have a person in the course right now that I saw, and I'm as I add this video, that is marketing to people that want to play golf. Okay, that's a massive audience and people that already want to get started in something. It's not like entrepreneurs where they're pretty far and few between. If it's a massive audience that's already interested in something, you can go from there, and you can probably use the double diamond. However, what the script is for is moving people through the entire triple diamond. That's what it's for. Okay, and so you're going to see, remember when I drew out my triple diamond earlier, that I am going to be attacking all these things through each phase of the script, through a story, okay? And then I'm going to be using training to complete the script. All right, so D3, which, all right, remember, D1 is going to be their pain, Diamond 1 is going to be their pain, D2 is going to be their limiting beliefs that we're removing, D3 is going to be convincing them that our solution is the best solution, and then making them understand the solution, and they're ready to be closed because they have pain to change. They believe our way is the better way to go about living life, and they believe that our solution in that form of living life is the best solution there possibly is. So now they're ready to be closed. And again, remember, the diamonds are so important because it tracks back through our entire funnel. So, and we're going to be repeating these promises and using these points through the entire pitch. And the reason why this script is going to be so extreme is getting a person to run ads to see that they need tracking is not crazy. So for example, if I'm doing the double diamond script, it's not too hard. If I'm working with a double diamond, it's not too hard to get someone who wants to run tracking. And you'll see an example of the double diamond script here in a minute. It's not too hard for me to convince someone who runs ads to convince them that they need tracking. Or getting an e-commerce entrepreneur to think, you got a better way to grow his business. It's not that crazy. All I have to do is convince them that their ads aren't working. We got a better way that they can run ads. Getting someone who's never considered starting a business before to invest $2K into a program about starting a business, or getting someone who's really not that into weight loss, or getting someone who's really not that into skincare, to invest in a skincare product. That's where scale comes from, but that takes a total mental change. And so what we have to do is we have to use some very advanced storytelling. Now, in my other prior scripts, I didn't do this, and this is the thing that really exploded stuff for us. Look, I already explained how we get our strongest lessons in stories, because stories are how we really learn things, because stories make us get in the position of the person who's the focus of the story and then feel the emotions they're feeling. And when we feel emotions and associate them with an experience, a lesson is learned. That's why you can't tell somebody a lesson, but you can make them feel a lesson. That's why people can learn more from watching Star Wars than they can from reading a technical guide on, or reading any type of guide on how to avoid evil or fight evil. I don't know what it is. People learn a lot better lessons and a lot better life lessons from movies than they do from books or from mentors, because mentors tell people. And that was a horrible explanation, but what I'm trying to explain right here is you can probably think back in your life when people have told you about a mistake you're going to make, and you made that same mistake anyways. You didn't listen. Why? Because there was no emotion associated with that. You were told something. We don't feel emotions from being told something. We have to experience something, and that's how the mind learns. That's why stories work. And so your subconscious operates by emotion plus outside stimulations, and that creates a subroutine like we talked about a little bit earlier on in the last Learning How to Sell video. So not only is this very useful when it comes to making people actually agree with us, which is everything that we're trying to do, to get them in a position where they can be closed, we have to make them see the world through the way that we see the world. We have to make them believe the lessons that we want them to believe, and we can't do this by telling them. We have to conceptualize it in their head. But also, when we tell a really good story, it removes the learning part from it. All right, I want you to think back in high school when a teacher was telling you things, you didn't learn it. Okay? If I told you the story of Anne Frank, you probably remember the story of Anne Frank if you've ever read it. And you know probably more about the German occupation and what the Jews went through from that story than any textbook ever. Why? Because you didn't have to learn it. You weren't in learning mode where someone was telling you. You got to experience the story. And when you're experiencing something, those patterns and loops get opened up and you want to complete the story. And so this makes it so people can actually sit through your pitch when you're telling a good story. When you're adding in jokes, you're adding in characters, you're adding in specific situations. So that's exactly why we need to focus more on storytelling always versus telling. We never want to tell. We never want to tell until the person's on our same wavelength. Until the person's in complete agreement that with the diamonds that we've laid out, aka the way they're living their life is unacceptable, they need to make a change in a direction that we proposed, and that our direction is the best direction. Until they're right there, we can't tell them anything. We can't tell them anything. We can't talk to them about Shopify or how to do Shopify or anything like that. We can't talk to them about weight loss or intermittent fasting. We can't talk to them about learning how to play golf better until they're in total agreement with us. Okay? If I start talking about Shopify right now without getting them through the entire story, they're just going to go, well, I don't think online business is for me and my life is just fine. The story won't work, okay? Because these beliefs right here, in order for our telling to be important to them, isn't there. So here's the other thing. When you go and look at most scripts out there, like for example, the Russell Brunson Perfect Webinar script, the thing I hate about that is it generically templates the hero story. The hero story you hear in every single webinar is the same exact story you've heard in every webinar ever. It sucks. It's boring. People don't like boring. We need to bring like a Harry Potter level of story to life. And I'm going to give you the elements of a good story. The true keys to a good story is there must be a good villain. Think about the best movies. They all have great villains. Almost without fail, it's always about the villain. Because a story is about overcoming an obstacle. It's about overcoming a unique situation. Every single movie has one of two things. An extremely unique situation that creates... Every movie that hooks you has an extremely unique situation that triggers a lot of emotion, or a villain that triggers a lot of emotion. Remember the Joker in The Dark Knight Rises? That was a perfect example of a disgusting villain. You feared him. You didn't know what he was going to do next. He was this obstacle you couldn't get around. He was just whooping Batman's butt the entire movie. Darth Vader, scary, intimidating villain. You can't get around him. Big obstacle. How am I going to deal with this? Or it's a situation. Hunger Games. Bunch of kids put into arena. What the entire allure of the Hunger Games, the main character sucked. Katniss Everdeen was the most boring acting I've ever seen. Her overall color of her character was gray or like light brown. It was the most boring character ever. Didn't matter because you put yourself in the place of Katniss Everdeen, where she's put into arena and taken from her home in an arena where only 1 out of 24 people survives, and it's the most messed up thing ever. Okay, it's extremely unique. Hunger Games, the whole premise of the movie was, hey, they just put a bunch of kids in an arena and they fight to the death. And then they create this really interesting world and everything. It was really engrossing. It's all about the situation of the villain. Because people see themselves as the hero. If you notice in most stories, the hero is the most bland character. Like Luke Skywalker wasn't that exciting of a character. I mean, he's a likable character, but, I mean, he wasn't really the reason why Star Wars took off. This young guy becomes the hero. We've seen that story a billion times. It was the situation, the empire, the extremely interesting world that he was placed in. And so this is why in our storytelling, we need to really focus on creating a good situation and a good villain, and using a lot of visualization to make people feel like they're going through the story and they're the ones going through the story. You're going to see that as I go through that. Now, the next thing when we're doing our copywriting is we need to create an icon. Almost every powerful info brand has an icon that people put on a pedestal. And when you put people on a pedestal, or you get people to put someone on a pedestal, you can use that person or yourself to sell people all sorts of things. And so when you're using your story, you want to make an icon that people can relate to, but has some genius but is some genius. He's a diamond in the rough. He's a messiah who started off like the average person, but possesses a talent, an Elon Musk-like trait that allows him to go and forge a weapon or do things that other people cannot. So he discovered it. Like, he was Luke Skywalker. Everyone relates to like Luke Skywalker because he started off as this guy that just wanted to get power converters and was fighting with his parents to being chased all over the universe, but he discovers he has the Force. He has this secret weapon, and he becomes this icon. It's the same thing with your character in your story, your hero, or you, or the person that you're going to be having coaching your programs. They start in a very relatable, insecure, vulnerable way, and they turn into this icon to people. But then what happens in the story is they create a system. They create a secret weapon. They create a secret lightsaber, a secret tool that they can then pass on to the average man. And then what we're passing on to the average man is our product. Okay? So we show a person going and achieving all the things that the viewer wants to achieve and going through all the realizations of the triple diamond. And then the way they go and actually kill it is by using their unique talent to escape the pain that the viewer is in. But the viewer could never hope to possibly escape that pain on their own. They need the weapon that the icon created, and there's no way they could forge the weapon on their own. That's the story we're going to use in every single pitch. And so the true secret of persuading people is it's all inception. You can never tell anyone something powerful because powerful words and powerful telling doesn't equal powerful lessons learned. It doesn't equal learning. It doesn't equal agreement. It doesn't equal belief change. Experience plus emotion equals belief change, and that's what a story does. And you want people to reach the conclusion and start thinking things before you say it. You want people to start thinking, man, Shopify is what I need to be getting into. Man, online business is what I need to be getting into. This safe life that I'm in right now, the college education, the way I'm eating right now, I need to stop doing this. You want people to think those thoughts before you ever say you need to stop doing that. If you are telling someone that they need to start a business before they've thought, I need to start a business, you're screwed. It's not going to work. And that's what storytelling does. Okay? We tell the story of Matt discovering that he needs to build a business. And then the person goes, man, I need to build a business too. That's how it always works. If you've ever met your friend and they were doing something, they were killing it, and they start telling you, man, so my webinar wasn't killing it before, but then I got it on the Google ads, and like, oh man, things started blowing up because no one else was on there. You're going to start thinking, man, I need to get on Google ads too. Whereas if your friend said that and said, dude, you need to start using Google ads, like it's killing it right now. Man, my webinar is doing so well. You're going to be like, yeah, I'll get around to it. You never want to tell people anything. Okay? That's the most powerful thing. So this is a very easy webinar to replicate because of the pattern that you can follow. For example, when you go and actually look at, you can literally see I've time-stamped everything with the videos that are provided in the course. You can see me executing all these things because, again, it's not like the Russell Brunson perfect webinar script where you fill in the blanks. It's not going to work here. All right? Everything is a little bit too subtle to do that. But I have myself executing each step of the script. Okay, these are the things we need to accomplish. We don't need to just go fill out a bunch of damn slides. It's not how you convince people. No one ever looked at a bunch of slides, decided they need to give you $2,000. What they did is they went through an emotional evolution and journey of pain, belief change, and then believing you have the best possible solution. And then they believe that they want to pay you for the solution. It's all time-stamped. So we're going to go through the script now. I'm going to go through it with you. You're going to watch me doing everything in my script. You're going to see me executing it. Then you need to watch me execute it. And then you're going to go create your own script using this format. Okay? And make sure you have all the slides accomplished. So as you're making the script now, what you're going to do is, okay, I have the intro. Did I accomplish this thing, this thing, this thing? Okay, great. All right, show event results. And then go make the slides, and then make sure you accomplish these things. Do the slides, make sure you accomplish these things. Make the slides for this, make sure you accomplish these things. And it's not like one slide for each thing, okay? So that's what you're going to want to do. Sorry, there's a little bit of construction in the background, but this is how we're going to set this up. And this is all there is to the script, so let's begin.